Bill, Mr. Chairman, you saw that bill this summer at the fall at the JCTA, hearing we had. I think it was in October, maybe. This is legislation. You all heard it, referred it to the JCTA last year. JCTA heard it. I modified it a little bit with some feedback I got from, I think, Delegate Watts. Basically, the idea behind this is, again, this has to do with cycling and pedestrian deaths. Cycling and pedestrian deaths are actually rising in the United States, even though vehicle deaths in general were going down until this hands-free problem happened. What this does is it basically says that if a vehicle strikes a vulnerable user, which is defined as somebody who's not in a vehicle, like a pedestrian or a cyclist or somebody in a wheelchair. We just had somebody run over in a baby carriage in Herndon recently. That if the person strikes them and causes a serious bodily injury, as that's defined in the code under malicious wounding, that and they were careless or inattentive, it's a crime. And I'm happy to make that a traffic offense if the committee doesn't like class 1 misdemeanor. But the idea behind this is that when vehicles come into collision with pedestrians or cyclists, typically, number one, the victim doesn't remember what happened because they get a concussion. And they can't articulate either what happened in the collision or what led to it, number one. Number two, the forensic evidence left on the vehicle is such that it's hard to figure out what happened because a body impacting a car doesn't leave a lot of dents or damage in the way the vehicles are. You can't put the two cars back together like in a car crash. So a pedestrian and a bike, you can't put it back together to figure out who was where and how it happened. And bicycles typically end up mangled. And so typically the victims in these situations is at a disadvantage to obtain justice in these cases. And I'll tell you, I've been hit by cars 3 times riding my bike. 3 times I've been hit. And every single time the driver says, never saw him. I can't tell you how many cases I've had where the driver says, I never saw him. And I don't know how all these people driving cars don't see these pedestrians or cyclists when they run right over them, but it's a constant theme. And the folks in the cycling community will tell you this. And if that's what they say, that means they're being careless or inattentive, and that way they can have a traffic offense against them. And so that's the idea. This has been adopted in 12 states now. This is an idea I got from an NCLC conference I went to on bike safety about 2 years ago, and this isn't Scott Surovell's dream. It's legislation that's been adopted in other states, and that's the idea.
Okay, any questions of the patron? So a person shall be guilty of a class 1 misdemeanor.
I'm happy to make that a traffic offense if the committee would like to just make it a simple traffic offense.
I move to make it a simple traffic offense.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second to make it a simple traffic offense. So on line 16, we'll be striking a class 1 misdemeanor and inserting
So it would say traffic infraction.
traffic. All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
1 no. Okay.
I'd like to ask a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Somebody drives a motor vehicle in a careless or destructive manner, wouldn't that qualify as reckless driving?
I don't think so, and that was a discussion I had with, I think, Senator Carrico at the JCTA meeting. And reckless driving is driving in a manner that endangers life, limb, or property. And in my experience, courts and law enforcement have to be able to distinguish between simple traffic violations and reckless, which is more serious. And the only way that anybody's ever described to me that you can sort of fairly do that from a legal point of view is you have to be able to articulate multiple traffic violations which led to that situation. So you have to say that the person was speeding and ran the red light, or speeding and didn't use their turn signal. Otherwise, you don't have like an aggravated bad right turn or an aggravated speeding, and so that's why I think you have to have this in case you can't show anything other than inattentiveness. Because I've had people die off of bad left turns. They don't get charged with reckless, they get charged with bad left turn unless they're doing something else that's really, really bad. And reckless driving, That's the best way I can answer that question.
Mr. Chair,
Senator Davis.
I guess my concern is that as the chairman indicated up here, it could be reckless driving, and we just adopted an amendment that basically lowers the punishment for some of those offenses.
Well, I appreciate that, but what I'll tell John, I think the folks in the cycling community will tell you is that a lot of times when people say, I never saw him, the police officer just never charged them with anything. And this would at least allow the person to be charged. Frequently, that's what happens in these pedestrian cycling cases, even when people are killed, and they can't figure out what happened, they just don't charge them with anything. And that's partly what this is trying to get after. Maybe Bud can enlighten you further on that, because he's seen this a lot in Richmond.
All right, any further questions? All right, just, I think we have some witnesses here.
Chairman and committee, Bud Nye again. This has been a big problem. We've had some high-profile cases where they have been killed, and the motorist always says, I've never heard of a case where someone who has killed a bicyclist didn't say, I didn't see him. They didn't do it on purpose, and I'm sure they didn't see him. They were doing something else or somehow inattentive. But the investigating officer or the Commonwealth attorney have generally interpreted reckless as being, you must either have been speeding, drunk, stolen car, license that has been pulled or something like that. Not just you didn't see him. So they say, we don't have anything we can charge him with. And they let him go scot-free. We had Dan Hirsch down in Virginia Beach in that category. And they said, the Commonwealth attorney said we couldn't charge him with anything because they said they didn't see him. Well, that's a problem. If you didn't see him and you run into a utility pole and knock it down, I mean, somebody says, you can't say I didn't see him. You still got the utility pole on your hands. But here's a case where we would like to have something in there that would be something less than reckless. Because reckless, if they have these other conditions, they don't have any problem with it. But a lot of them do. They say reckless is very severe. We don't want to call them reckless if they said they didn't see them and they don't have these other problems. So that's it in a nutshell. We would really like to see this get into the code.
The answer to what Senator Surovell and I were talking about, you can be charged with reckless, but the burden of proof is higher once you're charged. So there's nothing that says you can't be charged with it. It's just your burden of proof, you have to show some type of reckless act.
You're correct, Mr. Chairman, but I've heard some, Ryan McDougall tells me this, he said, oh, it's obviously reckless. But it isn't obviously reckless to a lot of the law enforcement and some of the Commonwealth attorneys. They told me so themselves. We can't charge them on something like that if they didn't have these other conditions. They weren't drinking, they didn't run away, we're not a suspended license. They go down the list, said all they had was they didn't see them, we can't charge them.
Mr. Chairman, let me try and, this might answer the consternation on my colleague's face. The Powers case is what creates the problem here. And Mr. Chairman, I guess you know what that is. But in the Powers case, they had a situation where some car went off the road, rolled, got wrapped around the tree, engine got thrown out, the thing went like 1,000 feet, and the Supreme Court said, well, we can't really tell what happened here, and so without being able to prove the circumstances of the accident, you can't get to reckless. The problem is these cycling and pedestrian deaths is you got a dead victim or a concussed victim, you got a defendant who doesn't have to say anything, and you don't have anybody that can say what happened. All you got is a dead body and somebody keeping their mouth shut, and the prosecutor said, well, because of Powers, I can't prove the case, I'm not going to charge that, you can't, that's why you need this.
But
Senator
Mr.
Dees.
Chair, if the officer has probable cause that there's careless or distracted driving, there's possibility of a reckless charge. And it looks to me like this language on line 17, serious bodily injury. If there's serious bodily injury, there's a civil cause, it seems to me, and a lower standard of proof, isn't there?
Serious bodily injury, sure, there would be a civil case, but I also didn't want to string somebody up if all somebody had was a little road rash or a cut or something. I thought it ought to be a more serious injury than that.
Okay, I have a, do you have any other witnesses? Okay. I have a couple of things here. I know Senator Edwards has moved and we accepted the traffic infraction. I think, talking to council, we don't really have to put that in there. She can clean that up. It'll automatically go to a traffic infraction. But I have a problem with subsection C that says the court shall suspend your driver's license if you're charged with this
If
charge.
you want to make that may, I have no problem with that.
So moved.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to strike shall and insert may. And do we, this is for council, do we have anywhere else in the code for the first traffic infraction that we may suspend the license?
Driving suspended.
Driving unsuspended.
They don't even have a license at that point.
They have suspended one.
Suspend driver's license on person on reckless driving and something on DUI.
Those are class one.
Class one.
Double secret.
Hit and run, hit and run,
I'm talking about a traffic infraction.
hit and run.
That's not a traffic infraction.
No, it's not. I don't think about that.
I think striking all of C would be your best.
The chairman wants that.
Mr. Chairman,
Amenable to
I
that.
make such a motion.
There's been a motion and a second to strike all of C.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, now we have a bill amended that says that anyone who is distracted in a manner to operate the motor vehicle would be guilty of a traffic infraction. Please do that.
Mr. Chairman, the amendment, well, the first amendment would be on line 16 after B. Strike, the person is guilty of a class 1 misdemeanor who operates, and insert, no person shall operate. Second amendment on line 17 after manner, strike and, insert that. So it would read, no person shall operate a motor vehicle in a careless or distracted manner that is the proximate cause of serious bodily injury, etc.
All right, anyone else in the audience like to speak to the bill? Hearing none, we have the bill as amended before us. Senator Cosker.
I feel silly asking this, but it says that a vulnerable road user means a pedestrian or a person operating a bicycle, electric personal assisted mobility device, electric cars going on. Then it says animal. Can you tell me how you operate an animal? You can operate on an animal, but really, I'm serious.
Yeah.
What?
All I can tell you is that I think you can get a DUI for riding a horse on the road, I think, and
It's called Reins in a Bit.
But operation is a term that's actually been heavily litigated in Virginia because it comes up a lot in the DUI context. And the Supreme Court has defined it as sort of being in a position to make your vehicle move. And so,
This is a vulnerable road user.
well, yeah,
Operating an animal.
could be riding a horse on the road, I guess. You know, and I haven't seen it in a while where I live, but you have? Yeah, but yeah. It's a good question.
More rival than I was before. Okay. Bill's before us as amended.
There's a motion to report already.
Was there a motion to report?
Senator Edwards, anyone?
Second.
All right, I'll take your word for it. There's been a motion to report in a second. All in favor, vote aye on the electronic. Okay. Your bill report's 9-4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last year, I think